What's going on, everybody? We are going live, as you can see. You might have seen it in the World Makers Consortium live stream, which was Friday night. We go live every Friday night from 8 p.m. onward. We are the #1 international 118 scale toy talk, world building podcast, stream, show, event. I am your host here over at Famine Studios. I am Famine. And today we're going to be doing something that's the exact same thing that we've been doing, just on a bigger scale. All right. We're taking it from 118 and we're going to crank it up to 11. We're going to go to 1 scale. As you can see, I am turning the filming location behind me into a sci fi environment. It is more conducive for what I want. I want it to feel like the inside of a spaceship. Obviously, this white beam is going to get taken care of. We're going to be doing a lot around this area to make it more science fiction and more lived in, because while I'm doing my world building, I want my YouTube videos to feel like it's in its own contained thing. It's in its own world, right? So what I've done so far, which you guys can see behind me, and I will make a reel with a little more explanation, but this is panels. They're insulation, I guess, panels that go in and block up the spaces where you would have pink foam insulation, if I'm correct, in rafters and in ceilings and joists. And essentially what they are is blown plastic, right? And so they're 3D. And what I've done is I've tacked them up with brass tacks as I've layered them down. And then I've dry brushed them with a couple of different metallic colors to make them, pop. Makes it stand out on camera, really sells it as worn metal. And you can see I've just started applying like caution stickers, things that you might see on a spaceship or on some type of sci-fi vehicle. As you can also see, I have put up a frog neon sign that is a frog in a cowboy hat smoking a pipe. The absolute funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen. I still look at it and giggle. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a small panel, and I say small, we're doing 1-to-1. So it's going to be for this wall, but we're just going to we're going to start off something simple, and it's going to be easy, right? This is just a cover, and I haven't even opened it. It's just a cover for a gang box for an electrical install. We've got greeblies and we've got pieces and parts. We're going to go through them together and we're going to figure out what we're going to stick to this. We'll paint it, we'll weather it. Hopefully we'll get it mounted up there today. If not, I'll take care of that off camera and we'll, have a reveal video. So thank you everybody who's joining me now. If you're new to the channel, please, and you're watching this on a delay, which I know some of you guys do, which I always appreciate. Make sure to like the video. That helps. If you're here live, hit that like button. That also helps. Um, I appreciate you being here. So let's get started. I'm going to bust this open. And let's see, we got some caution directions. We don't need any of that. We got some screws. I'm not going to use those. So we'll put those on the floor, I guess. No, I have a spot over here. And it's a single gang box cover, like I said. Kind of an annoying thing here is the front of it shows just a smooth plastic thing, right? That's embossed and has raised printing on it. So we're going to have to take care of that. We're going to have to do something about that. And then also, yeah, this thing's kind of shit. Not everything that I make is perfect, but when I worked in a factory, if I let something like this go, I would get written up. I would probably lose my job if I did it more than once. I did quality for a little bit, so I have sort of an eye for it. But like, look at that. It's all gashed up. One of the holes isn't drilled all the way through. There's all sorts of jagged pieces of plastic on here, so we're gonna have to clean that up, sand this down. So if you're here, you're a regular viewer, please sound off in the comments. Always like to hear from everybody. Let's get rid of this trash here. Anything else non-metallic? We don't need any of this. We'll keep the foam that came with it. It's got a weird texture on it. It feels a little bit different than EVA foam. Almost looks like leather. So we'll hold on to that for some other projects. You know me. I'm all about using what I can here at Famine Studios. We want to keep this stuff in case it's useful. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we'll use a sanding stick first. And we're also going to use a razor knife, which I have right here, which is the safest way to do this, right? It's the right way. Um, oh, we're getting some feedback. Right. So we've got that in hand. And what we're going to do is essentially we're going to take this cover here, right? This plate, and we're going to clean it up. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cover this part up. That part I was not expecting. It's only a little bit, but it's gonna we're gonna make it happen, Captain. All right. So anyone who has done any type of world building like this or room building, and again, this is the idea that's crossing through my head for this. This might be a room within my spaceship that I've been working on, but I got really excited. I wanted to make this change. It's already making this feel like a more sci-fi specific thing. But I watch guys like Brian Thompson from the Smugglers Room and Chrissa Thompson, also from Smugglers Room. She is the best. He is the best. Bill Duran, I got this idea from. I've seen Create Sci-Fi. They've utilized this as he got it from somebody. Used it in one of his short films that's available on Dust. That's in the short film circuit. So I do recommend checking that out. And as I said, I'm just taking this plate right now. I'm going ahead, cleaning off all these burrs that are on here, just so that it's one less thing to slash our fingers open on while we work. And by we, I mean me, and by our fingers, I mean my fingers, because my digits are a little precious. I don't want to injure them. So I'm also going to take off this like flash, and then there's a little like jagged, burned out piece here. This is really strange. And it looks like I can actually just punch this hole. There we go. Now we've got 4 holes and only one guy. How will he fill them all? I'm kidding. Um, so I guess the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out if we're going to use styrene to cover this little embossment, like I said, with the label on there. I don't want that. Um, yeah, I'm going to use an X-Acto. Like I said, I'm just going around this, cutting off those sprues and pieces of flash that are left on there. And I think we're going to use a piece of styrene. So I've got, you guys know, I keep all my excess shit over here. I've got so many weird pieces and parts, but we'll pull some out. I could do a piece of wood, but I'm not feeling like wood is the right solution here. I'm thinking styrene's the way to go. We've got options. I have some really thin styrene here, which is kind of what I want to use. And what we'll do is we'll just take that out so I can show you guys on camera. I've got a mixed pack of polystyrene from Evergreen. They use this a lot in number one model making, like purely original model making, model railroading, 187 scale, N scale, uh, you know, all those model makings. But so we've got, let's see here. We've got thick sheets, and then Jason had given me some thinner sheets, which I do prefer the thinner stuff. Let's see what else I got in here. Got some thinner sheets. Got some post-it notes. None of this is post-it notes don't help anything. They could, but eh. So we'll set that aside. Let's use the thinner stuff, right? And you can see I've used this before. It's kind of fingerprinted up on and drops super glue. I am, if nothing, a very messy worker. What I work with stuff and I'm in a hurry. I always try and work fast because I want to get to the part that I enjoy, which is painting and weathering. Bjorn, hello. Alarian, hello. I crashed into a spaceship and now I live here. So if you guys had tuned in to World Makers Consortium on Friday, I started, I showed off the essential debut of my new backdrop for filming, my new live backdrops for studios, and it's going to be a 1-to-1 room build. We're calling this a room build, even though it's really just this corner and this area where Gimmick is situated, and also where some of my supplies are, where we're filming. But so far, all we've done is open up the package. I'm just going to do a little simple panel. The package showed this as a flat front with nothing on there, and yet we found this. excuse me. It was very crappy craftsmanship, really shit plastic with a lot of sharp edges. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, after I've trimmed, I've gone around with a blade just to take the flash off. Now I'm going to go ahead and nick these numbers off the back. That's just going to help it have some better purchase to stick to the back wall when it gets glued on there. But like there's these raised numbers, it's like a serial number or something. We don't need them, and I don't feel like sanding them down. So I'm just going to do my old trick where I use the X-Acto blade and just literally cut the numbers off. Those of you who are up to the, up to date on all Famine Studios videos and you've watched every single one, which might have been somebody like Bjorn, or some of my other viewers, and I just cut myself because I wasn't being careful. Yeah, that sucks. Anywho, those who have been up to date on my videos will know I have this trick when I use a sharp X-Acto and not a dull one, where I just got myself. Um, Essentially, you lay the blade flat and just push forward on the numbers, and it nicks off. I should do something about this one. Do 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 do. I used to have a first aid kit in here. Used to. And would it be a Famine Studios deluxe build if I didn't bleed for my work? Um, let's see here. Guys, if I bleed out, just know that I appreciate all of you for coming to my channel. I really do. There we go. I keep a scrap bag of clean pieces of fabric. Let's see here. We'll do... Yeah, we'll just take a piece off of that. Do you believe that I was a first responder at my previous job? And I am CPR certified and first aid certified? Actually, I'm probably no longer CPR certified because that does expire, but I still remember it. But we'll just let that soak up a little bit of the blood. We're going to keep working. For those tuning in, your boy Famine, who's always Mr. Do As I Say, Not As I Do, just did as he does instead of as he says, and in turn got himself cut. So, but yeah. So anyway, now that I've damaged myself, fortunately it was just a superficial wound. We're going to take CPR. Yeah, so I'm sure it has expired because I've been out of that job since COVID, right before right after the lockdown started. So it's been a couple of years. But anyway, we're gonna take this sanding stick here, and we're gonna rough this surface, the whole surface up the front of the panel, because this is going to have styrene attached to it, and then other things. But I just want to have as much purchasable space on there. I want as much tooth on this entire thing for painting and all that. But yeah, so Bjorn, like I was saying, I wanted this to look like the interior of a spaceship, and we are going to get there. We're going to do this together. I've been watching channels for years. Punished Props was the first place I ever saw this material used as a backdrop for photos. Bill Duran just took those sheets and tacked them up. He didn't even weather them or anything, and he was using them for photo shoots for his props that he was making on Punished Props. If you guys are into cosplay or model making, or you just want to watch people build things while you work on your stuff, Punished Props is a great channel. I highly recommend them. I was a Patreon subscriber for a couple of years. They have great content, great classes. Their YouTube stuff is tremendous. The education that you get from them for free is absolutely remarkable. I'm so glad that there's resources like YouTube online. That's why I do this again, is I try and explain to people, like, I want to teach people. I'm sure there's schools for this and stuff, and there are plenty of online classes, but I've picked up things over the years that I found out are unique from other makers, right? People that are in the industry, they're like, oh shit, I never knew that trick. Where'd you learn that? Oh, I learned that here. I learned that there. It's cool. It's interesting, and that's why I want to show people. For the styrene, so you can cut styrene a few ways. You cut it with a beautiful blade, a straight blade. Use a guard if you're cutting it straight. Use a ruler. go a few times. You don't have to push through it. It is a softer material, but let the blade do the work, and then you can snap it. Thicker stuff, same rule applies. Repeated strokes of the blade, go to the edge of the table, snap it. This piece, I want it to cover. I thought about just making an inset into this little panel, right? So we can try that. I think we're going to try that because that'll add a layer of depth when we get to weather this, when we paint it. So I'm going to take some measurements now. And I don't use calipers for this type of stuff. If I was doing woodwork or metal work, I'd probably use my calipers. They're a measuring tool. I have a digital set. I can read analog, but it's been so long. I really prefer the digital. Um, Bjorn, I'm going to include this in my little clip show when I show what this channel's about. I appreciate you saying so. But I'm going to take some measurements right now. So we've got, wow, that's a perfect 2.5 inches across by 1 and little over 1 3. No, that's exactly 1 3/4 inch. All right, little over. No, that is a little over. So a little over 1 3/4 inch by 2.5. So we're going to utilize the straight edge that exists from the factory here. So I'll go ahead and put my ruler there. My scale, you'll hear me call this a scale sometimes. I worked in production for aerospace, so I tend to, when I start to get into real technical terms like an asshole, I will say scale instead of ruler. If you get confused, just remember a scale is anything that you measure with, right? So our scale is inches right now. And I'm using these 1, 2, 3 blocks. These things are great, especially if you're doing anything bigger than, 118 to 112 stuff. You want something that's heavy, that's they're accurate measures, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 1, 2, 3 blocks. That's why. And they are flush. They are machine flush. They are measured at the factory before they go out the door. I've never had a 1, 2, 3 block that was not to those dimensions. And I've used them. I've seen them be calibrated before, and they are consistently the same goddamn thing. And I know I should be putting the camera down here so you guys can see. But just because I'm making these cuts right now, it is just, again, me placing the scale up against the styrene, and I'm just taking my knife. I'm going to use the breakaway safety knife because it's got a longer, narrower, like rest for your finger, yeah? And so I just go and just let the blade ride down the line. I always overcut a little bit. I know some people are really, really stingy with their styrene, and I get it. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive either. So, I don't lose too much sleep over it. And Bjorn says, those blocks along with my magnetic gluing jig are amazing. I don't have a magnetic gluing jig, and I should get one. So we've got that 2.5 down. So let's go. We've got, if y'all can hear my cat out there, she's being pathetic. She was quiet all day. 1 3/4. So we'll go. So that's 2 3/4 there. So we'll go 1 3/4 here, which is 3/4. Okay. And I'm just making some cuts here. I wish I had, we had a tool at my old job which would tell you the radius of the turn inside of any type of, basically, I'll show you what I mean. 3/4 right there. All right. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. Put the 1 2 3 block down. I guess at some point I'll have to give you guys an overhead view of what old Famine's doing here. But okay. Perfect. Again, I'm just letting this blade walk through the styrene. So now I've got got this. And again, see how easy that was? It snaps and then you fold it back and boom, it's off. Now I was a little messy, but what I can do, and I just want to show you. So we've got basically a piece that fits in there, right? We're going to go a little bit further. We're going to take sanding stick, nail file, whatever you want to call it. Just pull any, you'll get these curls. I don't know if the camera is really going to pick them up. I doubt it because it's a laptop camera, and this is as white could be. But there's a little tiny lip on there from the cutting and folding. So we're just going to go like that, take care of that, go across. And then as far as making those little radii, we could do a couple of things to make this look interesting, right? So one thing we could do is basically I could, here's a piece of paper. I could show you on a piece of paper, right? Piece of cardboard. We've got our rectangle. And what I could do is I could approximate that radius and cut it and make a radius, right? And I could do it on all the corners. Alternatively, we could get weird with it. And I have a hole punch. And we could take those corners, we could punch it and make a little bite out of it, right? And so we'd have 4 corners with a little bite. We'll do a little bite up here. So, it'd look weird and strange. I'm leaning towards rounding those corners out, but I mean, we've got some viewers, we've got some people in the chat, so sound off if you have opinions, right? Oh, I could imagine it's very helpful. That, I use a Craig jig for cutting and drilling. Well, I don't use the Craig jig for cutting, but I do use the Craig jig, hard to say, to drill pocket holes for screwing together table legs and weird joinery like that. So having a jig is good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my best friends in the world, Liam. Liam goes by G.I. Jew on Instagram. Liam is a great cosplayer, a great toy collector, and overall, and even better than that, a great friend. Check out his stuff. He's completely unhinged, and that's what I love about him. He shares a extreme love for Iron Fist like I do. Just a really cool cat, so be sure to check him out. How you doing, baby? Good to see you. Bjorn says we could use the hole punch to make rivets. We can. I want to get some smaller hole punches as well. I have the belt hole puncher. That thing I use on EVA foam. That works really well to make rivets too, especially for cosplay or bigger pieces. So you've actually just given me an idea, Bjorn. I got you, baby. What we can do, Bjorn, is I'm gonna round the corners. I'm gonna set them in, and then we'll make those rivets, and we'll put those on last on the corners wherever we land after decorating it, and that'll be like some type of display. It'll be the way that it's fastened to the wall. So we'll do something that'll be fun. So we'll go right here. I'm gonna approximate this radius, and I'm gonna set it in here and look. Not bad. I would have liked it to be a little snugger, a little more snug, but that is not bad. Like I was saying, when we worked in aerospace, we had a tool that you could fit up against it and had the degrees of the radius marked on the outside, and you would put it against the corners or inside of something until you found what it was, and then you would duplicate that radius. So that was a little bit of luck here. We'll see if I get lucky twice. 3 times. And 4. That one's a little rough. We can fix that. It's all right. It's space. It's sci-fi. And here's it is a well-known fact, but everything that's built for like companies like NASA, well, NASA's not a company, but let's be honest, NASA's a company. Places like NASA, SpaceX, Boeing, and all those, they're built by the lowest bidder, right? So even when you say Boeing produces something, it's done by the lowest bidder. So not everything's going to be 100% perfect, but, and now I'm just taking this, I'm just sanding this because that's going to help with the adhesion, give it a little bit of tooth. Yeah, boy, I screwed that up. That's okay. We will persevere. I mean, I don't even have to glue that in place. We're just going to adhere that just because. Although, I kind of want to make it fit perfect because I'm a little bit anal. But we're not. We're not going to fuss it because it's probably going to be hidden. We are just going to put a little bit of glue on there, a little bit of super glue for some tooth. Good friend, just the cheapest shit you can find, super glue. And I already have a tube open, so let's grab that tube instead of opening another one. And how was everybody's weekend? You know, I say I want to teach, and you think I'd be a little better prepared for the teaching part of this thing. But yeah, Bjorn, it was snug. How was the convention? I know you guys were set up. You guys were sponsoring Sergeant Slaughter, who I've had the pleasure of meeting. The dude is a character. Wasteman, what's happening? We're turning the area around Gimmick into a spaceship because I said so. We'll just put a couple of dabs of glue. One in the middle. Con was meh. Did you get much FaceTime with Sarge? Did you get to talk to him or, you know, anything like that? That's interesting. There we go. Wasteman says I'll allow it. All right. So we've glued that in place. So that's covering up that weird recessed area. So now we're on task. We're on point. We've cleaned up the blood from my injury. We're going to put the knife away. Safety third. And anybody who's just popping in, be sure to hit that like button. It does help guys watching on the replay. Thank you for watching, of course. And please hit that like button. It does help. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. You almost touch him. But did you? Did you reach out and touch those, you know, USA Proud Patriot Pythons? So let's get some Greeblies out while we wait on Bjorn letting us know if he was able to squeeze on Sergeant Slaughter. All right, so down here, you guys can't see it because I can't even make my camera go down here. It just doesn't want to. But I've got boxes of Greeblies, plastic cast bits, resin pieces. So we're going to bust those out. I've also got beads, pieces, little mirrors. We're gonna take a look at some stuff. So we've got this weird. I don't think I'm going to use any of those. So we'll put those back. That's the wrong kind of Greebly. Imperial Saboteur, you are watching me build a sci-fi panel that's going to be on this wall behind us. It's a small little single-use panel. We're just getting a feel for this project. There's a lot of new people on the channel, so just showing off some stuff. So, as I said, Greeblies. I have to remember where things are these days. This one here isn't my resin cast, but this is like a lot of taps, stuff that I use for world building. There's a couple of resin casts off on here, but thinking I've got weird shit like this where you pop that sprue off and it could be a knob, some type of service panel dial thing. Let's see what else I've got. Ooh. Anybody who can tell me what this is, I'll be real goddamn impressed. It's a very distinct thing. I'll hold it up there for a second. Some of you guys will be able to get it immediately. Kind of like that. Interesting, interesting. That got this thing here, which is looks like part of a windshield wiper. No, it's not an a-hole. It's not a fidget spinner, a piece of a fidget spinner. No, no. It is a circle. You don't get any points for that though. Another piece of. So I've got a good pile of Greeblies here, and then I actually keep a baggie in my car because I am who I am. I keep a baggie in my car, and anytime I find like weird bits and bobs out on the street, like I'll take them back to my car and I'll wipe them down with keep some wet naps in the car, for road trips and stuff. And I'll wipe them off, and I'll hand sanitize them, and I'll put them away. But I found a couple, like I found this Lego, or not Lego, is a generic Lego piece that's flat on one side, and then it has the grippy bit. A lost piece of a hose connector. No, it's not. It's not a ring for your penis. This is a spacer so that you can't spray Montana Gold spray paint, and it's a great Greebly. Works on damn near any scale, and it's just a random bit that if you buy Montana spray paint, you got to take that out of the sprayer before you can spray it, and it stops people from like testing it in the store, which is good. And it looks like the Lego piece, like somebody had to chew it or a dog chewed on it to get it off. So I think about using that. I'm just gonna use this again, the nail file again, to take off the little marks. And I kind of want the circles. To be out instead of smooth back, because like, sure, that smooth back could be a button, but those circles look interesting too. And when this is all painted and weathered, you want more visual interest, right? You want things to be interesting. So I'll go ahead and just tooth up that back. What's going on, Anthony? And I'm actually going to go ahead and give you guys the lap view. Go ahead and tilt this down. There we go. So you guys get to see. Again, I'm still cleaning. That'll be all neatened up over there as I build this this mess. So we've got this panel right here. I've cut the styrene. I've placed it in there. So things that we've got here, we've got the hole punch so we can cut out either some cardboard or some styrene. We've got Lego pieces. We've got hose sections. This is an interesting visual piece. It's a knurled on the side. It's got threads. in there. We'd keep that silver when we paint it. And then it's got rubberized grip. I think that's going to go on there. This was part of a camera tripod that I had that I got from my cell phone back when I was doing my initial like vlogging, when I was doing my toy hunt vlogs. And when all the damage happened in my basement, the foam piece that it was attached to got all soggy and weird, so I just cobbled that off. So let's look at a couple of potential layouts here. We move some pieces around, cut things off, and then I've got this piece of windshield wiper that's really fascinating. It's got just like all these different directions of neat. Could go like that, could go like that on the side. I don't know yet, but I do know that I do want to use this. So I've just gone ahead and I've scuffed that up. And then I could also take this and carefully with an X-Acto knife cutting away from myself, because we learned our lesson today. Got a little blood on the project. And just dig in a little bit. Rotate it. Cut away from myself again. Rotate it. And that's just extra teeth. Extra tooth. Made it awkward. No, it's fine. You guys can pay for the OnlyFans to see the rest of the goods. Or you guys can subscribe to the World Makers Consortium Patreon. I'm just saying, you'll get to see me enslave Leia. Or you can, donate to the Ko-Fi. I'm going to go ahead and stick this on immediately. That way I can't change my mind, because I could sit here and fuss around and move things, but this is going to be one piece of decor. One piece of decor. A little tiny piece of decor on the back wall. So I'm not going to fuss too much and worry too much about it. Let's go right here. We'll butt right up against that edge. And that's just on there now, right? So we've got that on there. That's all set. This thing was out of a squeaker, I believe, for a dog toy. And I just snatched it. It says WHENG XU valve. I don't know. I think it was on a dog squeaker, or maybe a air particle filter. But I think what I'll do. This is for life size, my friend. This is for the wall behind me, right? We're using world building techniques that can apply to full size, right? Nothing here that I'm doing aside from measuring for larger scale. Yeah, that's why I had to say the P word and not, cock for talking about that other device. Because if I say it in specificity, easy for me to say. If I say it specifically in relation to that device, I could get demonetized in the future. So we don't want to do that. But this thing's got a weird little valve on it. Once that's painted and weathered, I think that'll stand out. It looks good. Like I said, I just hit it with the sanding stick. We'll do that again, and we'll pick a spot. Just a little bit on there. That's going to go, to hell with it. Right over that, right? So that's on there now. That ain't going nowhere. A little bit of squeeze out, that's fine. We've got this guy here. Could go right there. Could go over here, I think. Could go there. Yeah, let's put that right there. It's not going to be like Empire Toy Works, because his stuff actually directly relates to the world. If you look, his stuff is decorated like Imperial on the Empire side, and then his walls are done up to be the walls of the asteroid that his station is on. This is going to be more like a interior of a spaceship that I happen to be filming my videos on. It's going to be a set, right? It's going to be lit. So we're just making decorations. I figured I could do this one of two ways, right? I could make y'all wait and I could struggle and I keep doing the blurry background and I could try and film videos without showing it. Excuse me. Or I could include you guys in the process, stream some of these builds, have some fun, and you guys always motivate me to get this shit done. With that said, here we are. We'll go like this right here. And that is on there. And again, that's got that knurling around the outside edge, so that'll pick up weathering nicely. And it's got the rubber. We'll just make sure that we're light on the weathering there, so that the weather stays, or the rubber stays apparent as we build this. Let's see here. So we've got this piece, like I said. Let's go ahead and use the nips that I've got here for cutting sprues off of models, although these have gotten like use for cutting way more than that now, and I actually need to either sharpen them or decide to get rid of them. And I want to get rid of this little, I like the raised things. This will add no resale value to my home because these panels are removable. I could take this down and have my plain wall immediately. Like, I mean, not immediately. It would take me like 5 minutes to do. But this was 20 minutes worth of work, even with the dry brushing and the weathering, which I will do more. You heard nips, yeah. I've always called them nips, like side cutters or nips. Maybe if that's the wrong word, I'm not using it in the way that some people do as a slur. That's literally just cutters. They nip the material. But yeah, that's just they're tacked on there and they come out and all done. But yeah, like I was saying, we've got I've got this here. All right, so we're gonna pause. We're gonna bring the camera back up to the face that runs the place, me. First off, go check out I Don't Want to Grow Hut on Instagram. Phenomenal maker, great toy photography, great. Go check it out. Right, go do me that favor. Follow, like some pictures, get them in your feed. Second, reduce, reuse, recycle. I love recycling shit. I have really built my brand. Please don't take that in the way that a lot of influencers. You get what I'm saying. I've made my name here, encouraging people to do things the cheap way, encouraging people to reuse stuff. I've made like I've gone out of my way to show that you can do this on the cheap because I feel like world building got cornered and it's started to become a expensive hobby. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, oh, toys are going up because toys are always going to go up. You know, that's the way the world that's the way the world works, right? But people are starting to make things for it, and the people that I support, you'll see the people that I support are not expensive. They're independent. They work hard. There are people though that are I guess not advantage taking, but they're catering to a much more expensive taste that not everybody has when people can do some of the stuff on their own with things that you have laying around your house. I'm always inspired by guys like Boy Like Hobby Time, Bill Making Stuff, Craftsman. Um, there's a litany of people and makers out there. And again, I'm name dropping because I want you guys to go follow these people. Um, the Smuggler's Room with Brian and Chrissa, they constantly like reuse things to make stuff. Brian's whole channel is making something out of nothing. Um, I have a bucket of Simply Juice lids, which is like one of his universal greeblies he uses for this project. What it was going to eventually be. This was going to be down in my actual studio that I had, but again, with the rain damage, the flood that we had, I can't exactly do that. But while I'm filming in here, I can do this because again, that can come down. Anything that I can attach to it can come down with it. So yeah, I just wanted to say I really do like reusing, recycling parts, pieces. Like you said, you saw me open this package. I found this foam that's in there. It feels different than EVA foam. It's got a weird texture to it. I can't wait to use that for something else. That's fucking awesome. You'll see me cobble things apart for wires for world building. Take the insides out. Now there's extra wires that I could use for world building. I should I shouldn't laugh. Oh, that's good. Good that's good stuff. Good. I'm glad that there are people out there watching. Jesus, Bjorn. I'm glad that there are people out there watching that, and that like you guys are in. You get where I'm coming from, but like there's opportunity in the stuff that we might throw away or we might not use again or we might use it for different things. So these again, they're insulation things that go into the eaves. I've turned it into a sci-fi wall panel just based on a recommendation. Like, why not? And while I may spend money on like a neon frog smoking a pipe in a cowboy hat because it's a neon frog with pipe smoke, he's in a cowboy hat, but um, I just want to encourage people to do this world building and also decoration, cosplay, sci-fi stuff um, on the cheap. I'm a slut for savings. I say it all the time. If I can get something for way cheaper than retail, I will chase that price because that means I can get more of other things. We all have bills. This economy is not getting any better, right? You know, we might get a raise at work or things might work out well for us or whatever's going on, but the economy ain't going to get better. So why not take advantage of things like this where this cost me nothing? This was free. This was actually probably out of a Jurassic World package. One of those things that sits in the bottom that's threaded into the feet that now has a second life instead of going to the garbage, which may not be recyclable because not everything is, and gets a second use. So I'm off my soapbox now. We'll bring the camera back down. All right. So what I'm doing here, like I said, is I want to take these bad guys off. And I just don't like them, right? They just add a weird height and roundness that I don't want on this piece. Could be useful at a later time. Could be useful on a later build. I don't think I'll hold on to them though. And so we've got that piece, right? And do I have a world building Bible? Hey, Jason, how's it going? Um, that's a fantastic question. Yeah. Um, if we're talking about the physical world building, the physical world building, most of the important stuff I learned in two places. One of them cost me money, and one of them is free. One of them is and maybe that's the question. One of them is, and maybe I misinterpreted this wrong. We'll cycle to the other meaning second. One of them is Tested, the Adam Savage channel on YouTube. That man is a litany of information. He is a paragon of just teaching people how to make things, where to find things, what things are when parts and kits and models are made. He worked for Lucasfilm. He explains what things are on models. He explains different ways to build things. Constantly watch his stuff. The other place that I've learned all of these tips and tricks, aside from those that I've already listed, was the Stan Winston School for Character Arts. Wonderful resource. I recommend waiting until December or June to get it 50% off. It's just some cheap. It's worth it. You get a whole year's classes, anything you could imagine. But now I see what Bjorn's question was. My apologies. Yeah, so not a notebook, but I consider all my posts on Instagram where I lay down the lore as my Bible. I have started writing more stuff down because I am, number one, forgetful since I've had COVID. Like I've said, I truly believe that my brain got real foggy and still hasn't unfogged itself. My doctor, he himself said he had brain fog and just would get winded. And he was an athlete, a runner, would get winded running up and down the stairs. But, one day it just went away. So fingers crossed that one day my memory just springs back to the bear trap that it used to be. But I have started writing things down a lot more. I've started writing down measurements. I have a list of things in here that I want to see as 118 kits. Eventually, I'd like to get into small scale toy making that is specifically designed for world builders. And it's not going to be designer prices or anything like that. It is going to be affordable. That's way down the road. That's a 2024 project into 2025. I don't want to get too much into it, but I have been taking the time to write some stuff down. But anything that I compile and write that goes up on an Instagram post, I consider that canon as part of what Gimmick is, what the Planet of Consequence is. I have a lot of shit up here kicking around, which you guys have heard me dump in plenty of stories. Sir, ma'am, this is a Wendy's. I just did that, and Stark just went, yeah. Good night, sir. I love you. But yeah. So I hope that answered your question. If you have more to it, please feel free, because yeah, I like talking to you guys. I like answering your questions. Now I'm just going through, cleaning up the little mess that I made, and knocking off those pieces. And Liam, you brought up your sprues. Yes, this is a Jurassic one because it says Mattel. You brought up your sprues, and I am going to be using sprues on this. I keep all my sprues. I also keep pieces from HO scale kits. Jason gives me, like, not Jason Jensen, but my you know, my former roommate, and you guys have heard me talk about him. Jason, he like scratch builds HO scale trucks from scratch. Like, he gets a sheet of styrene, casts a tire, and just goes to town and builds these, makes the wheels. It's crazy. Absolutely blows my mind. I watch him work and I'm in complete awe. But anyway, he'll give me like pieces of kits that he doesn't use and things like that. So I have all kinds of pieces and pipes from sprues that we're going to be using on this. Because this is going to be a complicated, busy piece that's, when it goes in the background, it's not going to be super busy, but it's going to be another thing that adds value to the overall. Because right now that's cool, right? I could light it. I could turn the LEDs, make it light. I have all sorts of LED lights for shooting figures. And I could make this wall glow like blue or whatever. But once we start adding panels and stuff like this, and it's on there, there's things that are going to be going up. I started doing, this is just going to be a simple hook that we'll probably paint on this while the paint dries on this. I don't want to take it outside and spray paint it because it's cold out. But it's just going to be a hat hook for my hat when I take my hat off and hang it up over there for videos. We'll see. But now I've got this piece. Like I said, I'm going to continue random one. Do you know where you can source a mini two-way mirror? How many? Excuse me. Got a little piece of debris down my throat. And Bjorn likes to ask how other people do their stuff. Yeah, no, asking people how they do things. That's how I learn. I am the like a menace when it comes to just straight up messaging people that maybe I follow on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, or even on YouTube, where I see them doing something and I'm just like, shot in the dark. Let's see if this person can answer me. 9 times out of 10, they are thrilled that somebody noticed the detail enough to give me information. Like, I reached out to a gentleman who worked on the dinosaurs for Jurassic Park Battle at Big Rock, which was the short film that they aired during, I want to say like during the Super Bowl or something. It was really cool, really good. It's live action. They had full animatronics and all that shit. And they released BTS pictures and paint masters, but they never released the actual photos of the painted dinosaurs. They were actually black and white. And I just reached out and I was like, hey, can you tell me what color these actually are? And while he couldn't share, he did advise me that the answer was available in some of the locations where I found other found other information that I had asked him about. And by doing so, I was able to backtrack and find that information, which probably, made sure that I didn't alienate this poor guy's, NDA or whatever, which I'm sure is expired by now. But, asking people is the best way to get an answer. Liam, Amazon. Infinity mirror. They make them round. You can get them. I'm certain of it. And if you want a cool way to make a sewer, especially for the scale of your turtles, go check out Jason Jensen's Sci-Fi diorama. One of the videos he uses Folgers cans. We just talked about this on World Makers Consortium on Friday. He uses Folgers cans and made a great sewer that would scale well with the turtles. So. So I got in trouble when I was a kid, Bjorn. I had a teacher that said I asked too many questions, and I don't speak with my mother. She was not a good mom, but even she was like, there should be no such thing as too many questions for a kid in school. So I absolutely have no problem asking questions. I will ask questions till I'm blue in the face. Even sometimes I get embarrassed because of my questions. Um, you did spell that right. He's actually here in the chat. If you go up, let's see here. There we go. Liam, just head to that channel right there that's on the screen, Jason Jensen Trains, and check out his sci-fi dioramas. But yeah, I asked a lot of questions in school, and that's how I learned. I got answers to the things that I wanted to know. And if I didn't get an answer and I had to go looking for it, usually people would give you the direction to go. One of the key pieces of advice I learned early in life, I would say I say early in life, I'm only 37. Um, one of the best things that I learned was if you can't be a person who has all the answers, be okay with being somebody who knows how to find the answer or find the person that knows the answer. I've always felt comfortable being the person who, if I didn't have an answer, can help you get your answer because now I want to know the answer, right? Um, so that's just a skill that I've always worked on, and I'm not afraid to ask questions to get an answer. So right now, as you guys saw as we were chatting there, I've scuffed this up to give it tooth to take paint later. I've scuffed at the back so it'll adhere. So I'm just going to tack a little bit of glue on there. I'll put it on this board and I'll hold that up and show you guys what we've got so far. And this is going to be one of those interesting pieces that adds like value that you're not going to quite know what it is. I don't quite know what it is. I could probably assign it like a sci-fi, why it exists here, but I'm not gonna. So we'll go right up there against the Lego piece. Boom. That's on there now. It's almost in the middle, which means it's probably important, but now that's on there. You see it's white, so let's block out some of that nice white lighting. And we're just gonna keep adding shit. Now we're in the weeds, right? We want to keep putting things on there that add value. And again, this can be applied to your world building. You could very well go to the store, get the same gang box cover for, I paid $2 at the local hardware store. So I'm sure at like Lowe's and Home Depot, it's much cheaper. But because I was in town and I needed to get something else from there, I grabbed it. But you could get this and use these as doors and apply the same principles, putting greavellies and shit on there, and then just paint it up in that scale and put it on the 118 figure. Right, here we go, tiny little famine. Boom. See, that's a door. That's a 118 style, 118 size door. There you go. There's how it applies to world building in figure form, whereas we're just doing world building here in full scale. Let's take, I want to stack these two. I think I'm going to stack these two. This is the hose piece and the spray paint spacer that stops. So this hose piece actually feels like it's rubber, and it does have some cool character on that side. But I'm going to use that side that's going to be mating surface. So I'll just go ahead and scuff that up with the sanding stick. That should be enough of that. We'll put that on first because we want to make sure it'll stick. I actually have never tried to super glue rubber to plastic before. So we're going to see how this works out, right? Right. All right. That's on there. Press that down. You use hoses and flex tube. Yeah, I use cable hider. I actually need to get some more cable hider from Harbor Freight because it's the cheapest place I can find it, to cover the cable that runs to the frog. I will use rub and buff on that to just give it some wear and tear, make it look like it's been used. I've actually done it before on a very old build. I don't know if it's actually on my channel or if it was just on my Instagram feed. I did Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy when he's in his little Ravager's costume when he's small. And I built a diorama for him to sit in, and I used some of that hose. It does not take paint well, but I painted it with acrylics, black and white, made it look like a caution hose. Came out really, really neat. So that's on there. That ain't going anywhere. And now I'll go ahead and scuff this whole thing up, edges too, and then I'll attach that to that piece of rubber. Although I don't need to do the inside of it, but it doesn't matter. It's just a little thing. And again, like I have probably 50 or 60 of these things at this point of the amount of paints of cans of Montana Gold spray paint that I bought. And they're just little spacers that are in there. They keep the cans from being activated inside the cage or when people are looking at the paint because there's no caps on them. Less plastic in this than there is a cap, I imagine. So we've got this here. I'll just scuff that up a little bit too to make sure that that's good. We'll put the ring of super glue on the rubber. Okay, and we'll just line that up, drop it on. Oh, there we go. I just almost super glued myself to the piece. There we go. And hoses and all that are very useful. Um, Wires, cables, things like that of that nature. Cut the ends off. Don't plug them in. Obviously, you don't want to hurt yourself, but also fire hazard. Like we're starting to get this on there. It looks like a mess. Like that looks like a. Have no idea what that is. Why does it look like this? But when we get done, when it's painted and weathered, it's going to look like something that belongs on a science fiction ship, or it could be used in your world building on your dioramas. Let's see, what else do we have? I'm debating on how deep I want to go with the stuff that we could put on here. Here's an easy one. Zip tie. I already used the head of the zip tie. I actually used it for something. So that, like the zip part of the zip tie that makes the zipper feature, we'll cut a strip of that off of there. We'll actually level this little corner off here. And we'll just pick a length. I'm eyeballing it. Right? And that's just, I save these, right? It's something that could wind up in the garbage, but instead I keep it for a time to use it. Now's the time. I'm just scuffing it up to make sure that it's got tooth again. Give it purchase. It's got some purchase stick. And we'll put that, I don't know, what do you say? We'll put it right here across the top or over this way. Yeah, we'll go over that way. For this, I'll just put like dab of glue, dab of glue, dab of glue. Crossed. Try not to super glue myself to it. That's on there. And that's just a little piece. It's again going to add some. Yeah. Yeah, zip ties are useful, especially in like the actual use for zip ties. I use them for a lot of stuff, but also like just attaching things, making belts. I've used zip ties as a belt on a figure before. You just got to really heat it up and bend it, let it cool, heat it up, bend it, let it cool. It's labor intensive, but it does the job. Um, let's see what else. Let's use a piece of card, right? I mentioned that we could use pieces of card. Let's see, we got the scissors right here. So we'll go we'll do a classic little sci-fi panel. Right, we'll make it small. All right, so we've got our rectangle here. We're going to do a sci-fi panel, so we'll just take a corner off and yeah, we'll do the old classic and then a smaller corner off adjacent to it. So we've got basically looks like a memory card, honestly, which is fine. That's going to fit on there nicely. So we'll take the back where all the printing and shit's on there, hit that with the sanding stick. That just loosens that up enough to make this adhere to it, the paint, the glue and the paint. And then the other side, we'll hit that. Now we're going to go one step further because I'm a madman. We're going to cut this right in half. And we'll just leave a tiny gap in between both pieces. So again, taking our super glue, we're just putting a little bit on there. You don't need to go nuts. A little drop on there will do you. I'll put that on this way, and I'll show you guys in just a second. And then we'll take that other piece. We'll do the same thing. Little tiny drop of glue. That's all we need. And then I use the tip of the glue to move it around. And then we'll just put that down there with a tiny little space in between those two. We got a little sci-fi panel on there. And now we're gonna keep building up on this, right? We're gonna keep adding shit. What else can we pull from the old scrap bin of Greeblies and parts? We've got I have sprues. The sprues I think are gonna be the last thing to go on just because they're gonna stand out the most. Got this. I don't think I have a place for it on here. I don't think there. Yeah, it's well. That's a big maybe. So I'm over here looking at. Anybody can tell me what that is. Could go there. Hmm. Yeah, I'll let you guys guess what that is. It's a pretty easy one. I don't like that piece though. It sticks out too proudly from the piece, and I don't want that much other stuff standing that far off. So let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, there we go. That is not a half circle. That is actually probably like a third of a circle, if I'm being completely honest. But you're good with your shapes, Bjorn. This is a like cake decorating thing. I got some letters on sticks, but you can see they're extremely glossy. Fire in the hole. Paper clips and glue them on. This is true. Yeah, that's a great tip, Jason. Thank you for that. I think I've got paper clips in my office, uh, but that's not a bad tip. And that's great for like 118 stuff too, because small. Bjorn can even count to 10. That is good to know, my friend. All right, so we're gonna take this sanding stick. And I'm gonna make this. We'll hit all the edges. This is the letter E for everyone. Welcome on my channel. Everyone is welcome, unless you're an asshole. Yeah, you're extra welcome. I'm kidding. And we'll put this E. We'll use it like a. Yeah, we'll go up here. Thinking we'll go like that on there. Oh, that's interesting. See, I was all gung ho. I didn't realize that the bottom or slash top, I don't know at this point, but it's wider over here, which makes it way less symmetrical than I thought it was. So I'm just going to try and fudge this a little bit. That's a little bit better. All right, here we go. Gluing this on here. A little bit on there. And by a little bit, I mean apparently I put a lot. Hi, Rosie. And we'll just glue that in place on there. Next time you watch an older sci-fi movies, anywhere from the 60s on, look for letters and numbers that are backwards as pieces in kit bashes and dioramas. You'll see that shit more than you think. But we've got that on there. And it's looking kind of bare right here and here. So I think this is now where go from here. Let's use these bad boys. You guys are familiar with these. I use them in almost all my builds. These little stickers, they are decorative stickers. I use them as like rivets and camera lenses and droid eyes and things like that. So we'll just go ahead and take a couple of those and put them on here. And I always cut around the sticky piece, pull that off, and I just pop the little guy off, and I put a drop of glue either on the guy, or sometimes I use the bottom of an aluminum can as like a little pot for super glue, but I'm not doing that right now. Why, I don't know, but that's not for me to know. You know, it's just for the universe. Just put that on there. Just a little bit of visual interest. And again, once this is all painted and weathered, and things will pop out and be less worn, but you'll pick it up. I think you'll see what I'm getting here. And I thought, just for a second there, I thought about putting those half spheres, the little red guys that we just used over here, on these. But again, I kind of like that. Like, it's industrial, but it's Lego. But from a distance, you can't quite tell what it is. Let's put one more of these guys on here. I think we'll do 3. We'll do 3 of these little bastards. We'll just cut that off of there. It's always fun to stick stuff to other stuff, I think. Okay. And we'll put that. Yeah. Stick. Nice. Just another piece, and then one more. We'll add one more to it. I like doing 3s because 3 implies intentional. You know, so maybe they're fastened on there. Maybe there's some type of fastener or cooling pour. I don't know. Just work here, guys. I just work here. So let's get that on there. We'll put the other one down here by this strip of zip tie. And so we've got all those pieces on there. I'm thinking we can make it a little busier. Thinking I want to make it busier. And I've got, see, this is a bad habit I have too, is I have pieces that I haven't haven't put in storage yet, or not storage, but I haven't put away into the bins for use for like using as greeblies later. So maybe I'll just take one of these pieces that I have laying around here that I was like, I'll use you later for a greebly or on a diorama. And since we're using it on a 1:1 scale diorama, go ahead. I could clean that up a little bit more. Actually, I know this came from, don't know 100%, but I'm like 80% sure that this came from a toy. Can anybody tell me which toy this came from? I feel like it was some type of crate or the outside of a box. If you could tell me what that was for, that'd be great. Hmm. Yeah, we'll utilize that trick. And now I'm just cutting this material down. I want to cut it a little bit shorter so that I can fit it into this one spot that I'm eyeballing. And I'm just being real careful. I'm cutting down towards the mat, away from myself. We've learned. Yo, Adrian, what's happening? We are working on the sci-fi wall behind me. That is going to be the place here where I film most of my videos. And we're making a little panel. Bjorn's got his IKEA stuff coming in the mail tomorrow. And I'm going to do the edges of this, just sand those down. That Scotch Brighton. I thought about Scotch Brighting it, but I'm not going to. And then I'll just use a little super glue around the edges like we've been doing, just a couple of drops, and I use the tip to drag it across. Boy, that sounds filthy. Just drag it across with the tip. There we go. Okay. All right, let's get some sprues. So we're good on that action. Kept a couple of things out here that we're not going to use again, so I'm going to put that away. I'm trying to get better at putting things away. And I know we all joked and like talked on one of these streams, like that's how we all do it. We do it for like a day and everything's clean, and then the shit just goes south. Here we go. We'll use one of the model railroading sets. This is a Walters kit. They're generally plastic. They're pretty basic and standard, but as far as number one world building accessories and odds and ends go, their sprues are just full of like weird things that you can use. This is for some type of industrial setup, but I want to use some of the piping that they have on here on this diorama. So between the piping and the sprues, we'll make something happen. So I'm going to pop that one off. Pop that one off. And we'll just have little leading lines from one thing to another. All right, so we're going to bring the camera down right here to this mess. Like I said, I'm trying to get better, so I will actively get better and on camera so that people can see there was a day when famine tried. Take a sip of the old Mandalorian mug. Also, happy 4-year anniversary to that show, and it being the first time we all got introduced to Grogu. So this is the way. All right, we're gonna put that on there right, just like that. So I will go ahead and scuff up the backside that's gonna adhere. Yeah, the after show got wild and fun. You guys should check that out over on Patreon. over on Rad Toys. That's where we have the after show. It goes up for a few weeks as an exclusive to our patrons. And sometimes we invite people on that weren't on the main show that get to participate in the after show. We chop it up, we make jokes, we have a good time. It's a little racier. Um, and yeah, it's a good time. I recommend it. Okay, that's on there. That's good. And you know what I'm going to do? Since I have this piece of debris sitting here, I'll clean this up a little bit. You can actually see where the mold lines were in the plastic. Clean that up. Clean that up a little bit more. And then maybe I'll hold on to that idea. So we've got that sprue on there. That's looking good. I thought about doing another one right. Well, hell yeah, we'll do it that way. Again, who do you got to mouth off? Talk to Rad. Also talk to Wenzilla, and I'll certainly put in a word that you'd like to get on there, and we can discuss the mouthing off at a later time. Let's see here. Here we go. Oof. A little sticky to myself, but a little super glue on my hands. Ugh. So we got some sprues on there. I want to get one. How do I want to do this? I want one that's going to that's going to create a raised line from here to here. I think I'm actually going to use the sprue itself. And it's a bit thicker. We do like a girthy sprue here. And who doesn't like a girthy sprue? You know what I mean? So that's actually the sprue part of that kit. That's not even part of the kit. We'll sand that end down. We'll sand that end down. And then because it's a sprue, there's flashing on there because they don't care. So we'll just sand the whole thing. I guess I can. Normally, I live and die by the 10-foot rule when it comes to full-size things. But because we're doing this on a small scale, which can also apply, again, everything that I'm doing here can apply to world building, 1/18th scale, 1/12th scale, all of it can apply. Yeah. You can just do this at home. Do the very same thing. Sand that. Sand that. Put some glue on the tip just to see how it feels. Just on the tip, just to see how it feels. Okay, let's see if this works out the way I want it to. Does it normally? No. Will it this time? Pretty good possibility of no. Yep, because I didn't cut it short enough. But we can make that emergency surgery real quick. Boom. And then we'll just put a drop of super glue there. We could baking soda that in place. I don't feel the need. But see how we're starting to build up layers, right? And so when all that paint goes on there and we start dry brushing, it's going to pick up those. It's going to add detail. And again, this is looking naked over here. I want something there, but I don't. Let's see. I mean, I could put a sticker, not all, and that's the thing too, is that I need to remember not all the stuff needs to be on there as part of the initial piece, right? It could be an addition later. It could be, here we go. True fans will recognize this piece. episode 3 figures. Stupid grabby device. I don't know what it was for. Never understood. I think that was for the zip line for the troopers. But today it's going to be a half a pint of super glue on my fingers to just be on here. Okay. There we go. So much super glue. Oh God, it burns. There's so much. It burns. Oh God. And this is actually a trick. While that dries, I'll pass along a super glue removal trick that I learned. I believe I did learn this from Adam Savage. It's not why I keep these here in the shop, but they are handy. Instead of trying to, you know, melt your fingertips with hot water, whatever it is you try and do to get super glue off, take sandpaper or, in this case, sanding stick nail file, and just do that until the super glue is off. And you'll know, you could feel it, unless you're like me and you have a dead nerve cluster in your thumb. And you just have to look, but that gets the majority of it off. Doesn't let it harden into one solid sheet, and then you can just use, I like hand sanitizer or alcohol, takes it right off. I've learned in life, and because there's a cut on my hand, which you guys were here for at the beginning of the show, you guys saw me cut myself. I'm not going to put alcohol or acetone on my hands right now because that'll hurt. But hands feel much better, and they look a little better. This is pretty goddamn dry, right? So we've got our panel here. Nice, thank you, Audi. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, there seems to be like a droplet of glue. There we go. All right. So we've got this. We're going to pick up these pieces here, and then we're going to get to the black paint. We're going to put down a black undercoat as a primer. That's why we touch brighting and sanding and giving everything tooth. And then we can start the dry brushing part of the build. And then we can talk about how we're going to adhere this to the wall behind me. So this is going swimmingly. Famous last words. And since I'm all about doing it on the cheap, we could take it outside and spray it, but I'm going to do it indoors because I'm feeling lazy today. And I want to do it in here with you guys. That's phrasing. I've got a little piece of cardboard. I was doing some painting on that hook the other day, I mean today. So we'll just use this as our palette. Again, recycling. So shake up this crappy. I say crappy. It's less expensive. I am a plaid ambassador. Full cart, $1.25. You get what you pay for with this paint. I use this as a base on a lot of things. So just know what's going on, right? I mean, we could technically do this whole thing as a plaid paint build, but I'm not gonna. But we could. All right, so let's. So we got this brush here. It's an older brush. I'm just using this for the primer. The primer. This is that black paint that I just put down the plaid licorice. And we're just going to start at one corner and work our way around. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to keep the paint off the orange. I think if any does get in there, we'll count it as free weathering, mash it into grooves, we'll wipe it off. But I'm just taking my time, dragging that paint on there. You don't have to worry about brush strokes. You can actually add a little water if you are worried about brush strokes just to get thinner flow. Get in all underneath things, onto things, underneath those pieces that are like raised. And all I do is just, again, this is a crappy brush. I buy when they're on clearance and things like that at Michael's multi-packs of paintbrushes, right? And the ones that usually clearance and shit aren't good quality. They're like, very beginner. Like for something that your nephew might want to start painting, so you pick it up for him, or maybe it's his first time using paints in the house. You don't want something super expensive, but I buy those because they can be disposable. I save the sticks to make tools out of for sculpting. Uh, but like I said, I get a hold of them and then I use them for stuff like this. So if they get super glue on it, it's not a big deal. It can get into places where I could just mash the brush in. I don't feel bad about jamming it into that one particular spot and ruining the profile of the brush. So just little tips here and there, and like give that a second. I'll give you an example of one that I got for super cheap. Haven't even opened it yet, but they have a lot of these ones. I'll probably baby just because, but like the Top Notch brand, I got this for it was on sale for like $1.10. Then I had a 40% off or 50% off on all purchases on that one particular day. So 60 cents. And I got all these paintbrushes. I have several packages that I picked up on clearance. I keep them right here and I'll show you. These were like $3. These were also three, but you get all these different types of brushes. These are more for watercolor, but I will use them. I make them work cheap. If people ask, you're doing this at home and your family knows you're into this type of stuff and they say, hey, what can we get you for Christmas? Do you want more toys or something? And if you're like me, where you're like, I'll get my toys. Like, don't you worry about that. But, or even if you're just an artist who happens to come across my channel and likes watching other people make weird art, ask your family for consumables for Christmas or Hanukkah or, whatever holiday that you celebrate. Maybe you don't do Christmas, but you exchange gifts with your friends. Ask for consumables for an artist. You guys know paintbrushes aren't, especially disposable brushes, they're cheap, but a box of 100 of them, pretty inexpensive. But man, those 100 brushes can save you so much time from having to go to the store to pick them up, having to like wait until the next check to go grab them. Because again, I know it's real on these streets, and we're all struggling a little bit, and even the people that aren't are. Um, but like I have no shame in asking for consumables, things like paintbrushes, paints. Um, Create a wish list on Michael's, Joanne's. Tell them that you want rub and buff. Tell them that you want, model paints or hobby paints. Those types of things. They last a long time for you, and they make your time spent doing crafts more bearable, more less expensive, more fun. You know what I mean? Like, how great is it to just bust open that pack of paintbrushes and go to town and start doing things and not have to worry about maybe I need to super baby this because I can't get new brushes for a couple of weeks because rent is due and a million reasons why. Or shops are closed. It's a Sunday. If you're like me and it's nighttime and you're working on something and then all of a sudden you don't have, whatever piece of whatever that you needed to do the thing. Boy, that could be frustrating. But if your, family says, hey, what do you want for the holidays? And they pick up a bunch of consumables for you. Hell yeah. Super glue, hot glue, green stuff, epoxy sculpt, um, 5-minute epoxy. You guys, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know, probably, but those things are a little bit spendy. So anytime that somebody else can pick them up for you as maybe a gift, or someone who just wants to see you make your art, patronize your artwork, like that's what you ask for. And that's why I I recognize the need to do it, especially as I start doing more and more of these. And I always try and do them on the cheap. So if you do donate, your money goes a long way. But like buying coffees or Zoas, those help boost the things. Any type of donation to the channel, that always helps. And I do appreciate it because, like I said, I know you know everybody's hurting in one way or the other with the way things are, which is why I try and teach you guys things on the cheap. But any donations and contributions help a long way in making this channel go further because it gives me more time to dedicate to doing these and not focusing on other projects. So I always appreciate that. The link right there for Ko-Fi is scrolling across the bottom of the screen, ko-fi.com/Famine Studios. And that's all that spiel is done. I'll probably do it a little bit later again. But otherwise, so here we are now. I've got the first coat of black on. This will probably be 2 coats just because I'm using the licorice from plaid, and I want to make sure that it's got a nice, thick, heavy pigmented coat on there. But already, starting to look uniform, right? You can see the spots I've missed, but it's starting to look uniform. And then we're going to start dry brushing this and adding details, chipping. We're going to do a lot to this, a lot of value added for like nil cost, right? This is going to be, and this can all apply once again, like I've said, to world building. This can apply to your 1/18th stuff, your 1/12th stuff. If you were so inclined, there's all sorts of talents and tips and tricks here that I've picked up over the years from myself, from other people learning, working in different industries. Like, it's art, man. And I'm not here to gatekeep. That's why I teach people these things. I know some artists, like, certain things are their bread and butter, and I get it. But when it's, tips and tricks that have been accessible or that I've learned and I can pass along to people and help them, you know, help them improve their craft, and we're all in the same thing together, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pass that information along. Now I'm starting to do the second pass of the black here. And I do again want to remind you, if you can, hit that like button. Cost you nothing. And if you don't like it, you should hit the like button twice. Probably 3 times, just to make sure it works. All right, so now we're starting to see places that I did miss. I'm touching those up. Second coat's real easy. I'm actually stippling in a couple of spots just to add a little bit of character. So when I dry brush, maybe it pops a little bit. It's going to look a little different. Just a little something. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Maybe the scale is too big because it's going to be, that's how you're going to see it, unless I do a face up against it. So we got that taken care of, right? So we're going to let that dry. Something I was doing earlier, like I said, I just started painting this hook black. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over it with orange. No, we're going to go over it with white. Or a wicker something. Yeah, we'll do a wicker color. Linen. We'll go over it with linen, and then I'm going to go over it with orange and then yellow. And then we'll add some faux, like, chipping and weathering. And that's just going to be a hat rack for over there, because I've got a couple of sci-fi hat projects that'll be coming up further down the channel. I'm actually going to make 2 hats. One in 1/18 scale for Little Famine, for me, for my avatar. And then I'm going to try and replicate that hat in, 1-to-1 scale. Could be fun, right? I think so. I just work here, though, again. Don't forget that. Okay, so we've got our brush here. Got a little bit of linen paint on there. And this is a makeup brush that I'm using just because I had a makeup brush for this. Like I said, this is all just going on here because this is going to be a base for a brighter color. And in the years, I've finally learned, here's another tip that I've learned. Here's one for free for you. If you're going to paint yellow, you're going to paint orange, anything like that, put a bright undercoat under it. Even if everything else has to be dark and there's going to be shadows, you can always go back over and put washes and stuff. Light underneath it makes that pigment in that paint go further, makes it stay brighter, makes it appear the way that you want it to look, instead of looking like a really washed out, like, man, I got to put like 40 coatings of yellow on here just to make it stand out. You don't. The trick is to put your undercoats of a bright color so that that pigment has something to, I guess, I'm not a light scientist, but basically it's picking up that lighter undercolor, which allows it to shine to the eye. I guess that's the best way I could say it. Again, I'm not a light scientist, but I've learned you put a lighter color underneath, you will spend less time putting coating over and over and over again on there of that yellow color or that orange. Same goes for red. I've learned to put a other shades of red or orange underneath. And damn it, that really does help make it pop. Okay. We've got our linen coat here. I'm just going over it again because you could see certain spots are still showing up as pretty black through there. Now imagine if that was yellow and you had to go over that again and again and again. But here we're doing it with a little bit of linen colored paint. Could be white. I just happened to grab linen because it was the closest one. It's close enough to white. In between yellow, it does have yellow undertones to it. Actually orange undertones, but it's in the same color family. You'll see I do not own a color wheel. I'd like to own a color wheel, but I don't. Um, but so we'll get that. We'll let that dry now on the side. We'll revisit that in a moment. Take a look at this guy. That licorice paint's still drying. You can see where it's kind of wet in spots, but again, everything's tied together now, right? Everything's starting to make sense. And while that's happening, I guess we can talk about some toys. We can talk. I know you guys were, hey, Famine's doing a thing. What's 101 world building? Is he, playing with toys? What's going on? Got this Jurassic set, the Atrociraptor. It was $11 on Amazon. I turned Dom onto it from Toy Domination. A couple others onto it. It was a good sale. Came with an Atrociraptor with the backpack on it. If you guys are doing sci-fi, you want some sci-fi dinos. I know Devastation Station, Adrian, you might not even need a saddle for this guy. And it comes off. You can pop that on and off, weather it. I plan on painting it. Comes with this truck. This is the whole reason I got the truck. I've wanted a Jurassic Park Jeep, and then I've seen people with the Jeep trucks, the Gladiator, or the old style Jeeps that they've turned into trucks. And I'm going to make this Famine's personal vehicle. It will be a hovercraft. It won't be a wheel drive vehicle, but it will be Jurassic inspired. So I figured for $11 for a whole ass vehicle and a dinosaur. Oh, wait. And like a goddamn operative. Comes with a cap, a ball cap head. He's got like a little mic, little sunglasses on, turtleneck, vest, blue hands. I think he's going to be an operative of the Blue Sun Corporation on Gimmick. You guys will see their advertisements. I'm a big influence from Firefly. But yeah. And he's got literally blue hands, so that works out. It's articulated. He's got these hinge hips. He's got bendable knees, no ankle pivot, no ankle rockers. The wrists don't rotate. Ted Brothers over on the Jurassic Compound, or now Jurassic Junkie, I believe the channel is, or the Compound, has a tutorial on how to chop the hands and add pins to them if you want. Let's see. We got 1 point of articulation. Hands are blue. We got the hips. Does this. He does rotate. Torso rotates. Ball shoulder. Ball jointed elbows. Doesn't do a full 90, but it does, close to a full 90. Does enough to hold the rifle. He can hold the rifle with both hands by holding the magazine. I wish it did cut in a little bit more and the hands rotated. And then he's got his head on a swivel. I don't think it's a ball. But again, the sculpt is there. It's cool. Ball cap if you guys do more modern soldiers. I'll probably pop that head off and save it for my Jurassic dioramas that I'll eventually be doing. But again, $11 on Amazon. I could drop the link in the chat, but I'm sure somebody will grab it. And it comes with a freaking Raptor. And also the truck has a play feature, I guess, where you can, slam somebody in the hood. I'm probably going to fix that in place, replicate this panel right here with styrene, and then I'll fill in the gaps with super glue and baking soda as like improv Bondo. Sand it. But yeah, or if you're a military guy, you want a military truck, the doors open. I like those doors. I like that they're not, standard doors. There's plenty of Jeeps if you want like an actual Jeep. There's plenty of them in the Jurassic line. The only thing that I'll have to hide is the Jurassic logo on the back, which I'll probably put something there anyway. So excited about that. But pretty damn cool figure. And if you've got kids, and they like trucks, $11. Christmas is coming. I should get these for my nephews, right? Like kids love this shit. I'm an adult kid. I love this shit. So we got that. That was a pickup this week. And then I got another. I think I talked about this on the World Makers Consortium, but I got another Boba Fett, the deluxe version, because he's down to the price of a regular uh, vintage collection figure. I finally picked up Fennec. I thought I had Fennec. Thought I had a Fennec. She will be an important character and gimmick. She's going to have a different outfit, different look, but I needed Migna's head. Phrasing. Might use this body for a little while, but I love the spotchka container, the blasters, and this was one of those figures that people bitch moaned and complained about the price of 1/18 scale vintage collection, and said how hey, 12-inch is getting all this stuff. Well, the 12-inch didn't get the spotchka container. It didn't get a really great likeness of Migna, which I think this is a phenomenal likeness. We got this in our line before they did. And like that to me is the value of the figure. Like that's worth it to me. The full price of the figure, what was it, $14.99 when this came out? It happened to be $9.99 on Amazon. I scooped it up because I'm a slut for savings. And then I happened to get lucky and these were in stock. It also qualified for same day delivery. And they did. They dropped this shit off on my porch at 10 o'clock at night. But I got the HK 87 Assassin Droid. Gonna go off on a little tear here. I love the vintage collection, not disparaging the vintage collection. One thing I wish that they would do, and I miss this, is the inclusion of something about the character on the card. Remember they used to have the files that you could cut out or whatever. I know some people did that. I've seen like people with like shoe boxes full of them. Have something about the character. Why am I, if I'm a parent, and I know people don't, people don't buy Star Wars toys for their kids. That's why there's this 4-inch line coming out. Sure, probably true. And Bjorn, I'm going to get back to your question originally. I just kicked my brain into that. But have something on here, a blurb, serving Morgan Elsbeth, who's, on the hunt for Grand Admiral Thrawn. She's flanked by her loyal HK droids that'll do her bidding. There. There's your blurb. Put it with a screenshot from the show. On the back of the package, you can have this, but instead we got to have all this shit here, all this legalese. Why? Come on. You put that on a little piece of paper inside the thing, or print it behind the figure. Come on, guys. Like, let's get onto that. That said, I'm excited to get this guy open. I like the card back. I'm not a card back collector or whatever, but man, I'd love that art. Like if that piece of art was available, that's really good. So that was my little spiel. That was my little rant. If I ever do get the opportunity to like talk to the Star Wars team, if that ever becomes a thing, let me rephrase that. I'm going to say it now. When I get to talk to the Star Wars team, because I'm working on making some things happen on this channel. When I get to speak with the Star Wars team, that's going to be one of the recommendations that I have. And one of the questions is, okay, why did you guys move away from that? Because I imagine printing on the card stock and the design isn't a value added or a value lost. It's just a thing. Opportunity there. Maybe it's a licensing thing. Who knows? But yeah, I'm super hyped that this was available. I'm certain they will. I'm willing to bet a lot of money that figure will be coming out sooner than later, especially with the sword. I would imagine we'll get her in a pack with the sisters. I also do love that the HK comes with the Federation blaster that the battle droids had. Ooh, that's loud. And I like the cape. I like that they're starting to include soft goods again. Well, this is cool. This is very cool. Yeah, I dig this. I'm digging this figure already. I haven't even put it through its paces yet. It will get dry brushed. I'm going to change the colorway. probably going to army build these. I think these might be a. Got some ideas for this figure already. Um, but yeah, could you imagine a 4 pack of the Night Sisters with that sword and Morgan Elsbeth with her, basically Death Note look? Um, I think that'd be badass. Yeah, like check that out, man. Even just posed up as like a guard, that thing looks great. I've heard that there's some complaints about the wrists not articulating. I'll have to fuss with that. Um, and like I'm seeing this pike, and I'm already seeing like Lancer, you know, on a speeder bike. But let's see here. We could go like that. We could take that out. We could have him stand at attention, like a Crimson Guard. That'd be cool. Yeah. I wonder if the head pops off. Oh, it does. So the head pops off, and then nobody asked. Head pops off. You've got a barbell inside, and then you've got a separate ball peg here that fits inside of there. That adds a lot of character to that. Oh, it gets better, guys. I just discovered a thing. Maybe everybody knew about this before, but the back has a port for the blaster tuck in behind the cape. So you can have him with his blaster and his spear. That's fucking cool. Yeah, I like this dude. This is pretty rad. He certainly needs some more weathering, but that's just a personal preference. Like they did weather and they did hit it. I like that it's more of a matte red instead of a gloss red, where the visor has the gloss, so you can catch the light. Yeah, the visor has the gloss red, but everything else is kind of a nice soft muted red. I love that red color. And then the legs have like the silver, like they're almost like boots. I dig that. Um, yeah, I've got some ideas. I'm probably going to army build these guys. Yeah, it's badass. The shoulder pads do move independently from the arms, so that's really neat. And I'm wondering, let's see, the blaster fits. Does this fit too? I mean, you could put the spear in there. It's going to stand a little funny on there, but I mean, the spear does fit in the thing. I think that was designed specifically with the blaster in mind, though. So beware of that. Be aware. Um, you could probably cut a bead in half and make like a bracket to put it on there, but I'm not in the market for bead cutting right now. Uh, but hell yeah, these guys are badass. Let's see. We got rotation this way. All right, I see what the complaint is. So they don't have any articulation like this. It's just rotation. I understand where people are coming from with that frustration. I get it. Um, for something like this that's supposed to be like basically a ninja droid. Yeah, I get that. 100% understand the frustration, but also like we got imagination, right? We can make things happen. And there he's posed up with his blasters. Yeah. I wonder if I don't have them out right now. I did a lot of cleaning and organizing. Um, a K2 helmet, K2 head would fit on here. Valerian, have a great night. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to hit that like button on your way out. I appreciate you. It has swivel. It does not have hinge on the wrist. Yeah, it can do this. I don't think this rifle is designed to shoulder it, but let's see. Do I have a shoulderable rifle anywhere right now? Um, I mean, I could open up her. I'm not gonna, but I could. But yeah, no, these are solid robot, and I'm certainly going to build a certainly going to army build these guys. I'm willing to believe that they will release these in a 4-pack with the other colorways. I could actually see Morgan being released with these droids as like a droid commander or whatever you want to call it. Because there were like 3 or 4 others in the show. Hi, Mama. There were 3 or 4 other colorways. I actually see that the crotch piece and the is a different material, so that's cool. It just adds a little bit of luster. I'm digging on this guy, and I didn't have to fuss with him. I didn't have to balance him out. He just stands. The feet are nice. Hell yeah! All right. Now that we've done a little bit of toy talk, got that out of our systems. I hope everybody feels good. Hope everybody feels like they've gotten to do something. I've already lost. No, I didn't. I was going to say I've already lost his pike. Put that up there for the time being, along with his little. Nope, now I'd lost his pike. That's me though. I'm a guy that loses things. All right. So this is looking majorly dry. We're going to start our dry brushing with some silvers, some grays. We're going to add some colors to this. Yeah, let's get to it. All right, so we'll use the back of that. Look at this. This is recycling, people. We'll go ahead and we'll utilize now shining silver. We will use yeah, I'm not too picky today. We're going to use shining silver. And this is by Army Painters. We're going to go ahead, a couple of drops on the paper there. And we'll use our trusty, I want to use a bigger one. This one here, I was using it for rusting. Put that on there. Tap, 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 tap. Tap most of it off. Because we want to sneak up on our color. I always say, here we go. See how that's just starting to appear? Starting to look like something. Tap on there. Again, get a lot of that off. We want to make sure that we hit places that would get worn faster. Obviously, the higher points are going to get worn faster than the lower points. So we're adding value, like visual value to this, right? I'll go a little heavier over here, maybe in this spot there. Draw some eyes to that. So we could just call it, right? We could be like, all right, that's done. That's going to go on the back somewhere like this and blend in, right? Like, let's take a look. We're not done, but we're gonna say, and like, it's just another piece, but we're gonna add a little more value to it. I think we'll do maybe a brass or a bronze. I don't want to do gold. Yeah, let's do a. I'm thinking of bronze, right? Copper. We'll do copper. Shake that up. And if anybody has any like questions of what I'm doing, please feel free to sound them off. I hope that I'm doing a good job explaining, but again, can't learn if you don't ask questions. This copper is Vallejo model colors. In case anybody's looking to do it, there's the number. It's my copper of choice, by the way. Same principle. Taking as much of the copper off as I can. And let's do copper on this guy, right? Just hit that. It's actually a little more heavier handed than I wanted to be, but bring this down so you guys can see what I'm doing. You can see the dogs. You can't see the dogs. They're being cute though. So we'll do that there. And then this is just a little trick I learned. I went into the recess there, gave it a twirl. Now that recess just stands out a little more. We can do it again. One more again. Boom. All right. Cool. Maybe that'll hit that with a little bit. Yeah. So now we're starting to get more and more things to pick up light, more and more things to make it look interesting. Um, Now we want this to look weathered. So we'll do a couple of rust tricks now. I don't want to do anything overly complicated, right? So I don't want it to look super rusty that it's junk, but I also do want it to look a little world lived in. I was going to do liquid rusting, but I think we're going to do pigments instead. Just changed my mind on that. Yeah, we're going to do pigments. We're going to do chalk. We're going to do pastel chalk. I use these. I got these at Michael's. Bjorn actually just picked up a set too, I believe. And essentially, what I do with these is I scratch them to kick up some dust. And I've never done this before, but got this little makeup sponge, right? Just gonna tap, 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 tap. Pick up some of the rust color on there, right? Same principle. I'm just tapping it on that. And then we'll hit this guy, right? And that just looks like it's a little bit rusty. It's not super garish, but we can come back in and we'll actually go around it a little bit, right? Something to draw the eye to it. Not for too long. You don't want people, it's in the background, it's going to be stared at, but it just adds a layer. Pull it back, still adds a layer. You can see that there's something different about that piece of material. You don't know what it is. Doesn't really matter, but it's just different. And we'll go a little bit deeper. We'll head over towards the yellow colors. This one's more of a mustard yellow than anything. And I'll actually use my little brush that I have instead of the sponge, the makeup sponge. And I'll just tap in a little bit of that yellow. Get some of that yellow powder in there. Maybe around it, a little more under it. And again, it's just adding color values to whatever it is we're doing here. Maybe I'll go inside of this right there. Just add something in there that maybe pops the eye. Camera picks it up. Little shit like that. Yeah. Let's go over here to the yellow. Like this is really yellow. Sorry for the squeaking if you heard that. We'll use the sponge again. Just kind of pick some of that up. Going around this piece. And I'm liking how that's starting to look. Let's weather the button. Let's weather the button or the knob, whatever this is here, because it's got all those recesses, and it'd be a damn shame if that wasn't like super weathered and it picked up all this dirt. So we're going to use these three colors, and I'll just mix them together. I'm not really precious about mixing the colors on these because you can just scrape until you see whatever the original color was underneath. But like I said, it's a button, knob, something that somebody touches repeatedly. Who knows? So now it's got some wear to it. It's picked up powder. We'll go a little bit deeper. We'll go to the brown, right? Because that's probably a common dirt color. And Star Wars is very clean. It's very clean sci-fi. Whereas like Alien is space truckers. It's dirty. There's grime in certain places. There's a underbelly to it, and we like that in this house. And then let's just take a little bit of that dirt, get it in there. A couple other spaces, like around things. Just cleaning off the brush with the powders. Yeah. Pick up some of these extra pigments. Get them all around, and then I just spread them around until they're almost gone. Boom. So there's our little panel, our sci-fi panel. Yeah. Let's do this one thing, though. Let's do this. We're going to close these guys up. Put this away. What I want to do is... That just looks so plain and so unsatisfying, right? We put that in there. We put that extra little panel line. Could do... Yeah. Let's see what we can... Oh, we got a little bit of that linen on that brush. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Just a little bit more character there. And then we're going to attach it to the wall behind me. All right. And I guess we'll start... I'm going to go wide, somewhere out here towards the edge. Could use hot glue, but I think we'll use a command strip. I've got plenty of command strips. They're good adhesive. They stay in place. They do the job, but so does hot glue. I don't have my hot glue gun hooked up. So, thinking we should pick a spot first, right, guys? I think we should pick a spot. I don't want to go like I do like that. Ooh. I also like that place as well. Could put it in here, like somewhere, something like that. I think that's too close to the inside. And then I thought of like, oh, that could be here, but this is actually going to be part of Gimmick. Gimmick's going to come to about here. There might be a couple of landing platforms. So let's go here. That seems like a good spot. This is the tough part, guys. This is the decision-making part. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to use super glue. We're not even going to use a hot glue or anything because I'm impatient. So we'll score this up, even though we sanded it. New seed. I don't know what that means. Um, Not a Minecraft player. I've seen some amazing fucking things that people do on that game, though. The builds. Ooh. If anybody here is a Minecraft player and would like to help Bjorn with that question, because I am outclassed in that area. No idea what that even means. Any number or word will do. Papaya. And this is the least flattering angle I've ever shot on this channel, so that's good. And today we learned that super glue does not like this type of plastic, but gives me an idea. We shall see. There we go. Yeah, the word's going to be papaya. There we go. And while small, which you now can't see because my head is blocking it, and we'll keep adding things as we go, bigger pieces and smaller pieces, and stickers and warning signs, and maybe some more neon, maybe a shelf for an experiment, uh, a bracket to hold a helmet or two, because in gimmick and in real life, Famine collects helmets. So we are going to be doing some exciting things with this. Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Do some Fallout scrolls, huh? I don't know. I don't even know if that's a thing. And then we'll just do this hook real quick for the hat. I too am a Fallout guy. So is Bjorn. Bjorn's been making cap stashes. Nice. And this yellow that I'm using is just sand yellow by Vallejo Model Colors. Well, thank you, Bjorn. Never played Elder Scrolls. That medieval fantasy beyond like LARPing doesn't have any real appeal to me anymore. When I was younger, I was really into it, but I think I found the post-apocalyptic wastelands and sci-fi and all that stuff like more endearing, which sounds horrific. Like I'd rather imagine a world where there's super mutants than dragons. Which is like go to therapy, Famine, right? Okay. And I'm just, boy, sure hope I have music playing right now for you guys, which I don't. I wish this thing would automatically play it when I set it. There we go. Sorry, folks. We'll get some good pictures. We're gonna make this thing look really great, and with the lighting and everything, it's gonna pop. Okay. And one thing I like about these Vallejo paints is that they dry so quick. Now I know why people like a wet palette. Like I understand. But man, if you're like me and impatient, because I have the patience of a 5-year-old when it comes to paint drying, great feature. And it's very pigmented too, which I love. You know, it stands out. It's good. It's a good paint. And I hope they recognize that, you know, people in the alternative model community, 1/18 scale, 1/12 scale, use this stuff too, because I know they really focus on their Warhammer guys and their, you know, the tabletop gaming community, which is, I understand that's where their stuff got their biggest reach, their biggest start, but there are other hobbies that utilize that, and I hope that they realize it. Okay. This actually has debris in it because I didn't clean my brush the last time. Which is, again, my fault. So we'll get this dry. Then we're going to do some fake weathering on it. But yeah, like that's yellow. That's the yellow that I want. Picks up nice on camera. Yeah. These little guys back here. Yes, indeed it does. Next, I'm going to do black weathering on it. Just be hitting some of the high points with a little bit of dry brush. That will accent the hook, make the hook stand out a little bit. And I'll seal it with Mod Podge Glossy, because I want it to have a nice coat on there to protect it when the hat goes on over and over again. I did not, Bjorn. Potato chips, yes. Paint chips, no. Yeah, also nobody do this when it comes to super glue. Yes, Mama Rosie. You okay? Cowman. Yeah, all of our paint was lead paint. I lived in some shady places, so there was no dining on paint chips for this guy. Put away the glue. Look at us. We're doing this together. We're putting things away. We're learning. This is a big day for us. Okay. Guess we'll go with the black. Where are you? Did I knock it to the floor? No, but I knocked my UV resin over. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I've still got some black paint on here. So we'll just hit these high points with a little bit of black. It makes it look super used. See? It's starting to like show wear. And it implies that there's multiple, I mean, which there is, but it adds the implication of like multiple layers of a protective surface. You know? Just little stuff like that to make your things feel lived in. It'll show up better on camera, which is what you want. You want this stuff to pop for photography. If you ever are curious about like prop building and stuff, go to Prop Store of London's website. I guess not prop building, but just how things look in real life versus how they are on the movie screens. Go to the Prop Store of London's website and look at like the completed auctions and look at the photos of film props. They are garishly painted. They are painted so ugly and saturated with weird colors because it's how the camera picks them up. Like that's how the film camera will pick them up and make them look beautiful on the screen, is because they are painted in that way. So anytime I'll like take my cell phone or hold it up to the camera and I'll look just to see if it looks like it's been, you know, if the camera's picking up the dark. Yeah, that's starting to look really like used and beat. That's what I want. Hit that high parts there. And the reason I didn't go heavy on the bottom part is because when you're hanging a hat or hanging a, you know, an apron or whatever, you're always coming down. You're always coming down. You're always coming down. You're not going to hit this often unless you maybe bonk your head or whatever. That's why that's much nicer. That's dirtier and scratched up. And then I'm just going to take Shining Silver. And I'm going to use that same black brush, and that is the tiniest drop of Shining Silver. I'm just going to take the edge of that brush. It's probably still got some black in there. Pull that off on there. And then I'm just going to go and hit the metal, hit the edges a little bit more, make it look like there's some exposed chipped metal, right? Because spaceships, it's either going to be plastic or metal. There we go. Okay. Just those bits of metal, those scratches, makes it look more, to me, makes it look more lived in. And I'm going to call that'll get a coat of gloss. Again, gloss Mod Podge. And then I'll hang it up. It's got some command strips. It's supposed to hold like 5 pounds. It's literally going to hold hats, so I'm not too worried. But otherwise, It is going on 2.5 hours now. You guys are all saints for staying with me. I do appreciate that. Um, it's been a busy weekend, and I'm glad to be able to start working on this some more. I think this week when we do the live stream, we're going to go back and continue work on our Jawa tank that we've all been kind of contributing to and giving ideas for. The only things that I did off camera were I added the barrel extension that I said I was going to add. And yeah, just been looking at it and coming up with ideas. So I'm excited to work on that with you guys again when we go live. Probably be Tuesday for this. And super excited. Maybe I'll make a video about weathering our friend the HK droid, but I don't know yet. That might be just one that I sit down and do for a little bit of fun. I know I'm in the business of content creation, but not everything has to be content. Probably should be for me, but every once in a while I like to take a break. Thank you. Yeah, everybody helped contribute and gave ideas on where things should go. It was a fun stream, and I like the idea of a collaborative project that I'm working on while we're live. That way we can talk about it in real time. So one of those just neat things that the internet affords, right? That allows that type of stuff to happen. And it's fun because you guys come in, we joke, we laugh, we have a good time, we talk about materials, we talk about what's going on with life, how things are, what's busy, how's work, all that wonderful stuff. Sometimes we chat about mental health. Sometimes we chat about, goofy shit that we see in TV and movies, especially now that the strike's over. I'm a little more lenient with my wanting to talk about shows. But it's pretty cool. It's an exciting time to be a streamer and a content creator because, well, two reasons why. One, because there's opportunity. This apparently is things that people want to see because you guys keep tuning in. People keep watching my videos. People keep sharing my work, which I appreciate. People donate to Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/FeminStudios. People seem to want to see this stuff. They want to, they want to contribute to me contributing. I get messages on the daily like, "Hey, Famine, did you see this? Check this out. Have you picked this up yet? Oh, here's this piece that you were asking about." Like, it's great. This community is interactive and really makes me happy that I get to converse with you guys damn near on the daily. And I like the little community that we built here, and it grows and it's cool. More people come in, they join. No one's been terrible yet. And I say yet because it's reality. Sometimes someone will come around. We had that one troll that really thought they did something, but that was just a weird fluke, I think. Everybody keeps it positive, and when it's not positive, we try and lift each other up. And that's always been what I've been about. Like I've said time and again, a rising tide will lift all ships. That's how it works. And I want everybody in their different ships to get lifted up right along me, and we lift each other up. So if we're having a bad day or someone's having a tough time, we chat it out in the chat. We, joke around. We have a good time. We discuss similar situations, and that's what this is. And that's the environment that I want to continue to make. I love talking toys, love talking about real stuff. It's a cool time to sit down and do that with you guys. And the fact that I have the opportunity and the platform to do that is tremendous to me. So thank you guys for that. But like I said, it's been 2.5 hours. You guys are saints for tuning in, for those that have been out that long. If you are new to the channel, you like the stream, you got something to say, leave a comment and hit the like button. I've been told to tell people to turn the bell notification on. That's one. So hit that bell. That'll let you know when I go live. It'll also apparently let you know when I post up a link for an upcoming live video or I set a premiere date for one of my regular videos. So be sure to hit that bell. Share it with your friends, or if you know somebody who wants to get into this type of stuff or wants to work on projects or model building, and share a couple links with them. That's always appreciated. Follow the creators that I shouted out in this video. I really want you guys to go support them because they're people that taught me things, and I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff you guys could learn from them too. As I said, you guys be well. Thanks so much for following. Thanks so much for hanging with the stream. We got our little panel done. Great proof of concept. Let's get on to some bigger things. We're going to do some more world. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to do some more world building over in Gimmick. I'm excited. Can't wait for that. You guys be well. As always, too sweet me. Happy weekend. Let's hit Monday hard.